Welcome to Real News Talk. I'm Zach Lewis, sitting with not Matt Stoker this week, but actually a new individual to our wonderful podcast. His first time on the mic ever in his whole life. He's never done this before.
Yes, first time ever.
That's right. Josh Hart, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Zach.
Josh, how'd you get tangled up with this crazy group of vagabonds?
I had been in broadcast media for the last 13 years doing different stuff, and knowing Jeff in and out of his inner workings with media, which he has several. And so one day I kind of got tired of doing that. I kind of had done everything I wanted to do and was looking for a place to go. And Jeff said, hey, I have a great division over here that's doing some pretty impressive things. So I jumped ship, and now I'm on the RNCN team.
Yeah, well, welcome home.
Yeah,
we're happy to have you. It's been a long time. We're glad you're back.
Yeah.
Those of you who read the title or description of this podcast before you clicked on it know that it's not about Josh Hart, unfortunately. Yeah.
Next time, though.
Next time. Rain check. We are also joined in studio with Chanel Christoff-Davis. Chanel, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I guess the first thing, Chanel, let's talk about you. That's the reason we're sitting here, of course.
All
but
right.
for those who don't know, who might need a little bit of an elevator speech approach, give us a little rundown. Who is Chanel Christoff-Davis?
I am a wife. I'm a mother, entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I'm an artist. Okay. A lot of people don't know that about me. I paint. My business is Davis Harmon, LLC. We are a sales tax consulting group based here in Dallas. We work with corporations in all 50 states, all around the country, and we help them manage their sales tax.
When you say serial entrepreneur, and I want to dig into kind of everything you talked about, because I love that you started with wife, followed by mother, followed by entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, then artist. That's an interesting kind of descent of title there, and I dig it. But let's start with serial entrepreneur.
Sure.
What does that mean exactly?
My first business, I was 8 years old. We were at my best friend's house. We took all of my best friend's mother's groceries out of her pantry, and we sold them on the front porch. That was my first business venture.
Nice. How'd it go?
Really well. I don't know why we did that. I don't know what made us. And first of all, you have to know my friend's family to understand that it could have only happened at her house, because if it would have been at my house, I wouldn't be here to talk to you today. But so we just got this bright idea. Let's take how you get the packages of 24 chips. Let's bust that open and sell them on the porch.
Yeah.
And we did that.
You were 8 years old. I can't imagine you had a particularly wide profit margin on your pricing.
Don't know why we did it. Don't know if we were trying to raise money to do something. It just seemed like a great idea. We were bored.
Yeah, that is a good idea in theory, because there's no overhead.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
you're not spending a dime. Yeah. So
Exactly.
now it's not very sustainable, but other than that,
Right.
Most kids sold lemonade where I came from,
Right.
but I mean it's neither here nor there. I grew up in Texas. You grew up in New Orleans.
We grew up in New Orleans. Yeah. So, the second job, or the second entrepreneur venture that we did with my best friend and her little brother, same group of people, we went to the neighborhood ice cream parlor.
Okay.
Because we felt like the teenagers in the neighborhood needed a place to hang out. So we had a proposition that we would rally the troops, all the preteens in the neighborhood, get them to come there on Friday nights, spend money, and have a place to hang out. So we had a business plan. We promote this thing for them, win-win for them. We're going to bring you guys loads of customers. Like, duh, right? It was the best plan ever. They told us no. So that didn't work out. And then in high school, I was the girl who sold Rice Krispie treats.
Okay.
So that was pretty successful until competition started to set in, because I was successful. So then everybody wants to sell Rice Krispie treats.
There's always a shark in the water.
Yes,
sure.
yeah. So, then they started to put, M&Ms in their Rice Krispie treats to make it a little spicy. So I let that business venture go. And then in college, we started, my husband and I, then my boyfriend, we started the student chapter of the National Association of Black Accountants at my university, at the University of New Orleans, just so that we can see African Americans graduate from school and actually get jobs.
Yeah.
Because it was not a great rate of success with finding jobs in accounting after graduation. So we thought, let's do something about this. So we chartered a chapter of that organization on our campus. We brought professionals from the local New Orleans area on campus to speak to us and train us in interviewing skills and how to write a resume, how to present yourself, all the things you need to know to be a professional.
Yeah.
And our group was a great success. So a lot of our students got internships for the first time, graduated and had jobs out of college, and the chapter still exists today.
That's
So
great.
You're clearly somebody who's dreaming big. I mean,
I
yeah,
guess
clearly,
so.
like you were doing. I mean, yeah, I wasn't, having any startups when I was a kid. I wasn't trying to sell things, but like I figured, I'll be an adult and I'll figure it out then. You clearly didn't have an issue just going for it when you were a kid. You probably didn't know any better then. It was like, well, it's just something to do, right?
I'm always creative,
yeah.
always thinking of business. My mom actually had apartment complexes behind our home. So we had 2 apartment homes behind our house. And I was talking to my mother as a child, if we were to fix this up a little bit more, we can get more rent. Like, all we have to do is invest it. Like, that was my mind as a child.
Yeah.
I was always trying to figure out how to make our situation better, So I think that was just my personality from the start.
Right. And this is one of the things I like so much about this show is our opportunity to talk to people who kind of just pass through here, because we meet sometimes the most interesting individuals. Looking at college, I wanted to ask about the University of New Orleans. You met your husband there?
I met my husband there my first semester, freshman year in college.
Oh, wow. Like almost high school sweethearts.
Almost.
So close and yet so far.
Yes.
How far out of the way was University of New Orleans? Did he live in the state? I mean, how did your paths cross exactly?
It was the weirdest thing. He was a returning student. He had, gotten a scholarship for music. He was kind of a child prodigy in music.
Oh, wow.
So he had a full scholarship for Tulane. He messed that up and left school, went to the military to get, education benefits and come back, when he was a little older, a little bit more mature. So I met him. He was a returning student. I was, fresh out of high school, and that's how we met.
Were you in a sorority?
Yes, I was.
See, I did my research. Yeah,
Yes.
that's starting to come out a little bit.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I pledged Delta Sigma Theta.
Right.
Yes, my second to last semester in college. And it's a lifetime membership, still very active in the sorority. So, yes.
Right. I saw, I might have spied, you're still a little involved with it.
Yes, yes.
What do you do? How do you kind of perpetuate that?
I do a lot of the local programs. There's a local alumni chapter, so whenever there's opportunities to speak on a panel or to volunteer, I'm always available to lend my time and my talents to the organization and keep the organization going.
I think it means a lot, because I think a lot of people, at least in my experience going to college, a lot of people kind of presume that, fraternity or sorority, it's an organization, but like sometimes it's just an excuse to get together and party. And like it seems like you did not. That wasn't it. Like you seem to still be involved. You seem to get a lot from it.
Yes.
So yeah, was that an experience you had, or you feel like it was like, was it primarily business? Was it an organization? Was it like a really productive thing, or was it like we're going to get together and be friends? Or what do you think?
It was social as well as philanthropy. A lot of our civil rights leaders joined that organization and are very active. A lot of actual actresses, that well-known actresses that you guys may know if I say their name, or members as well. So typically there's like a divine 9 sororities and fraternities within this particular council. When you join for a lifetime. So you're always, tapped into the sorority, and you're, doing public service and giving back to your community for a lifetime. So it's a great organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't know. I never got tangled up in the scene, and I wonder if I should regret that or not.
Nah.
Josh, were you ever?
He said no.
No, you're fine.
No, it's fine.
Don't look back. One of the things I have a question about is when you're talking about how you were a serial entrepreneur and started when you were 8 years old. Have any of your kids shown that similar interest yet?
My daughter, she is interesting. She is very much creative, for sure. She tends to be more music based. She's kind of a child prodigy as well. And, her instrument is clarinet, but she composes and writes her own music. Wow. She attends Booker T. Washington High School for the arts, performing arts. And so, her whole, Christmas list was about, she wanted a microphone, she needed the headphone, so she wants to compose her own music. And so she's always been very creative. I think of the childhood endeavors that I had as an entrepreneur, as a child. It's funny because I never earned any real money, but consider it was an entrepreneurship endeavor was really my creativity. I was always trying to do something and be productive, in my outreach tend to be towards businesses.
Yeah.
And hers is towards music.
Yeah.
So she's interesting. I'll be very interested to see what she does when she becomes an adult.
Yeah.
Does
your husband still play? Do
they play together? They're jam.
What does he play?
They have a jam session every now and then.
Yeah.
He plays all brass instruments.
Oh wow.
So he plays trumpet, mellophone.
He plays all brass.
Just the loud ones.
Yeah. And I'm talking like I know a whole lot about. I really don't know a lot about music, but they have that connection, which is really
That's cool.
I'm happy for them.
It seems like everyone from New Orleans has some sort of musical ability, like ingrained in them.
Yeah.
Something in the water.
Yeah. I remember I went there one time, and I'll never do it again, during Mardi Gras. And it was too intense for me.
It's too much going on.
Too much going on. And so I remember like the first night I did the whole strip, and and then the next night I walked the opposite direction as far as I could go, and I saw a sign for a band called Bonorama.
Oh yeah. I know them. Yeah.
And I was like, of course I have to go in.
They
Of
all play
course.
trombones.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's an all trombone band that
Really?
did covers, and they did a cover of Led Zeppelin that blew my mind.
probably
sounded
awesome.
just like Led Zeppelin.
Really?
And like guys from other clubs were coming up, and they would
Jamming
do their
with
set.
them.
Yeah, and then they would play, and then some of those guys would leave and go to another club. It was just this whole vibe in the scene. I fell in love with that in that
Aspect,
moment.
yes.
Yeah, of New Orleans, and I've been back several times again just to go and hear music. Because you can never, there's always something going on in New Orleans. That's a really cool aspect.
All times.
Yeah.
Every weekend there's something going on, a festival or something,
You graduated in '96
Oh, wow.
From college,
with
yes.
a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Management. Mm-hmm. Why accounting and management?
Well, that's another interesting story.
Yeah.
I had a full ride to any state university.
Really?
In Louisiana, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I went to Louisiana. I went to UNO because I'm from New Orleans, and I stayed home and attended college, and didn't really have a whole lot of guidance, about what to study or what to do. I knew I wanted to be in the College of Business. I did know that, so I just kind of hung out in the College of Business, and I took every intro to everything you could think of. Intro to marketing, intro to, business law, just intro, because I had no idea what I was going to study. And so I was like a very good student. I had this full ride.
Yeah, you got a full ride.
Right?
Yeah, you had to have been a good
so
student.
I could
Sure.
just go to school as much as I wanted. And but really had no focus on what I was gonna kind of aim towards. The dean of the college called me in and said, you're gonna have to pick a major. You have a lot of credits. And I was like, really? What? And he's like, yeah, it's time for you to kind of declare a major, or we're gonna we're gonna make you transfer to the College of Life is what they called it, and that's the
School of Hard Knocks.
You don't want to be in that
No.
college. So I talked to my then boyfriend and said, hey, they're threatening to kick me out of the College of Business. If I don't pick a major, they're going to put me in the College of Life. And he was like, no, that cannot happen. He said, you should really consider taking the accounting class, because he already had declared accounting his major.
Okay.
And so, why don't you take intro to accounting with me? And I think you might be good at it. You never know. Check it out. And I was like, okay, sure. It's just not, that class did not come into my radar as something that would be fun. Intro to accounting.
Yeah,
like
okay.
It doesn't sound sexy.
A little bit of a
No.
stereotype around that, sure.
No,
Yeah.
but intro to marketing, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Intro to PR, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Is that a good time?
So he said, well, take intro to accounting with me and see what you think. And literally, I took the class and I blew every curve. I made 100 on every test.
Oh, wow.
Like sometimes I made 110. It was ridiculous.
That was with your boyfriend in the class.
Yeah.
That's a big
So-
ask.
so,
yeah.
he's like, what?
Hey, if you could,
Trying to pass notes.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got to pay attention here.
He's shocked. He's like,
Yeah.
what is going on? So they have, people in the class begging the professor to, give them a curve because they were making 50s and 55s. And I was so confused. I'm like, what? Why are you struck? I didn't get it, but I was always a numbers person.
you were that kid.
Back to the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
side of everything. I was always a numbers person. I always could, count my way out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get what the struggle was. And so I think the third time I blew the curve, the professor in the class said, have you declared a major? And in front of everybody. And I was like, no, I don't have a major yet. He said, I think you need to consider accounting, And I just killed it. I mean, every accounting class, I just blew it out of the water to the point where professors were walking up to me and asking me, "You're Chanel Christoff, right?"
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I can't wait to have you in my class. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like building a reputation, And in accounting, it's funny because when you take the intro class, it's kind of to weed you out.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get rid of the people who are not serious about accounting. Then there's 2 intermediates after intro, and they're really further try to weed you out. They try to make it as hard as possible. They only want serious students, and I was killing it. I mean, like they were blown away by me.
Yeah.
So from there, I just decided, okay, I guess I'll be an accounting major. And then I had so many credits.
Yeah.
I had so many credits when I graduated that I ended up having a double major of accounting and management. Didn't plan it. That's just the way it was.
Just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah.
You graduated in '96. You immediately became a senior associate at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Yes.
When
Moved
I
to
graduated
Dallas.
college from radio school, I worked at a restaurant. So that sounds like quite the title. Yeah,
Yes.
senior associate. Tell me about that.
Well, I was heavily recruited out of college.
Okay.
I was very fortunate, because of my grades and my leadership positions with NABA, the National Association of Black Accountants. I was really targeted by the local firms in New Orleans. And because of NABA, we would come to Dallas to do a student type of little conference, to find internships and meet the businesses here. And I came here one summer and I interned with Mobil Oil Company at the time. It wasn't Exxon Mobil, it was just Mobil Oil Company. And I interned for a summer and I liked Dallas. I was like, wow, Dallas is so different from New Orleans. I mean, like it blew me away, New Orleans is very Caribbean, I mean, we just, let the good times roll. I mean,
Sure.
It's kind of like everyone's laid back, there's not a whole lot of hustle. And I came here, it was like, wow, everyone here is so young and so, productive and impressive. So I kind of kept Dallas in the back of my head. Well, out of graduating from college, I got an offer for PricewaterhouseCoopers here in Dallas, and as well as Arthur Andersen in Florida. And I decided to come back to Dallas because I had some frame of reference, right? And it was my first real position out of college, and I really owe a lot to that experience because it taught me how to be a professional. It taught me how to work hard, how to present myself. We were like babies, and we'd have to go into a group of senior executives and tell them about their books and tell them what they did wrong. It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, even though you're young, you're a professional, and they're going to listen to what you say based on how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it really taught me how to present myself in front of, real senior people and build our confidence. It was a great experience.
So you've been in Dallas like 22 years.
Yes.
And did the boyfriend move over with you right away? Was he still doing the military thing?
He moved to Houston.
Okay.
And he worked for the Texas State Comptroller's Office
Comptroller's office.
as a sales tax auditor, which
Right.
kind of brings into focus how we got into sales tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he started his career as a sales tax auditor in Houston, and then we got engaged, and a year later he moved and transferred here, and we started our life here in Dallas together.
And what year was that? 98, 97?
It was like 97 he moved to Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he transferred to the comptroller's office, and then I recruited him to PricewaterhouseCoopers because, of course, I wanted the bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Nothing to do with him. It's
Like, I'm
all
getting that
one-sided
recruiting
here.
bonus.
Yeah.
So he did sales tax consulting with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I actually left Price and went to Verizon, an internal audit, and we decided, hey, we want to start our own business. We want to do something for ourselves, and we started our firm together.
Right. I did want to ask about Verizon before we get to Davis and Davis. Yeah, it seems like a hard turn. You had 3 years at Pricewaterhouse, then you did a little under 2 years at Verizon.
I did about 3 years at
From
Verizon.
99 to 01. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of a hard left turn there. Like,
It
out
was.
of something I don't know to a telemarketing company. Yeah, telecom. Yeah, that's
It was the best career move of my life. I mean, it was
that
so
means
awesome.
a lot considering what you do now.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we traveled all around the world for Verizon, auditing in their different business units. So 1 month I might be in Florida, auditing phone books. I mean, literally, we would audit their phone book business.
Yeah.
And the next, month I might be in, Philly auditing their, payphone business,
Mhm.
So we would just go around as teams of auditors and audit their business units from a financial perspective to make sure there's no revenue leakage, fraud, make sure that their controls were tight, things of that nature. So typically a VP of a particular area would either invite us to come in because they suspected something was going on, or it would be a part of their audit universe where they would have to touch certain business units.
Yeah.
And so it would be like a rotation where we would have to go and see so many business units within a year. It was fun though, man. We traveled a ton. We had a blast. We would get these crazy weekend trip per diems where we can go like to LA and hang out, on their dime for the week. It was so much fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like the best gig for a young person,
Right, and it's interesting, I think each kind of professional shift you've had, jumping from picking a university to hanging out at University of New Orleans for a few years, PricewaterhouseCoopers in Dallas, you moved a big way, then you go to Verizon and you're bouncing around and getting per diems. What made you think, you know what, I got to start doing my own thing here? What made you want to get out of that?
Well, a couple of reasons. I left internal audit because I wanted to start a family, and you can't start a family when you're globe-trotting. I mean, literally, I married my husband and I left him. I was like, okay, I have to go on this audit trip, and I called my mom like, oh my gosh, if you see my work schedule, I'm not going to be home for 6 months. And she's like, you have to go talk to somebody, let them know you just got married. And I'm like, Mama, don't work like that. I can't go cry and get them to take me off these audits. So. But after 3 years, and I had a blast, I was like, I need to slow it down and try to, bring it back to Dallas and focus on building a family. And we always wanted to start again. He has an entrepreneurial spirit as well. We wanted to start some sort of business for ourselves. It was always in the back of our mind. We thought, we can start daiquiri shops here, right? There's no daiquiri shops in Dallas,
daiquiri
right?
Daiquiri shop, sure, yeah.
So we thought we would open the first New Orleans branded, daiquiri shop in Dallas. Then, he made a mean red beans and rice. We were like, maybe we can get you to can those red beans and rice. Like, we were just always brainstorming on what could we do together, for ourselves. And one day someone called my husband and asked him for his resume because they wanted to add him to a proposal for the comptroller's office. They were actually hiring back ex-auditors to be like contractors to go out and audit businesses on their behalf. So my husband was like, well, tell me a little bit about this RFP. And they're like, I saw your background and your experience, and I would like to add you to our proposal. And he said, give me the RFP number. And so they gave him the number. So he hangs up and he Googles like, okay, RFP number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's like, oh, hell, we can put together our own proposal and submit ourselves to win this proposal. I mean, literally, we're like kids, but we're like, hey, what do we have to lose, right? Let's submit our credentials and see if we can get our own package, get our own contract. And we put together our contract proposal, and we won, and we quit our jobs, and we haven't looked back since.
It is wacky when somebody says, I need to settle down and start a family. They usually don't say in the same hand, I need to start a business.
Yeah.
Like, I need to start my own company. That's what I need to do. And a family. I'll just do both.
Yeah.
How, I guess the real question here first is like, that happened in 2001. 17 years, long time.
Yeah.
What did you learn from starting your own thing? Like, what are some of the things as an entrepreneur that you were like, man, this is... I mean, what I've heard from entrepreneurs is that like some of the best lessons in life you can learn from being able to take that leap and not look back and say, I'm going to do it on my own. And clearly you have. Yes. You're clearly successful at it. So what was that like starting out? And what did you kind of learn along the way in that first year or two?
Looking back, I've realized that youth was on our side because we started the month after September 11th.
Oh, wow.
And no one starts a business after a huge national crisis.
Yeah.
But we didn't know enough to not know that was a bad idea.
No, that's not.
We were so young.
I'd make. Like, why not?
And we were so focused. When you're young, you're focused on yourself to a certain extent. Yeah. And we always felt like, hey, if this business doesn't work, we could always go back and get another job in accounting. Like, what's the downside? But at least we tried. I think a couple things, especially working in a family business, because we were husband and wife for years. We worked together side by side. Communication was very, very big, communicating to each other what we wanted to do in the business. I'm more of a creative person, visionary type of person. So my focus is always on how to grow this thing. I wanted to grow it beyond it being a mom and pop shop. Yeah. So my focus is always growth. How do we get to the next level? He's more of a tactician. You know, he's very great with our clients. He is an operations person. So he's a person that's down in the weeds doing the work and making sure that our clients are satisfied and happy. So over time, we started to realize that this is a good thing, you know, that we have basically two sides of a brain, a left brain person and a right brain person. I can do the work. I can actually do the audit work, and I'm really good at it, clearly, because I'm a numbers person. But what makes me the most happy is to grow the business beyond ourselves, to duplicate ourselves. And now we've grown our business to have 8 employees where we're actually responsible for the welfare of other people and their families. For me, that is like so awesome that we can actually employ people and contribute in that way to society.
That's great.
Something that's always fascinated me about a husband and wife couple that work together is just any kind of necessity for space. For a lot of couples, it's like, well, I go to work, it's 40 hours a week, I can kind of clear my head and we can, we can do our own thing for a minute. How does that work for the two of you? I mean, you seem to work together just fine.
You know, for the first 5 years, we worked very much hand in hand. I mean, those are the hustle years, you know what I mean?
You gotta, yeah.
Yeah, so we were definitely, in the thick of it together.
Yeah.
But over time, like I said, it became obvious where my strengths were, which, I'm the person that will lean towards public speaking. I'm the person that will lean towards going to network for the business. That's something that I enjoy, and that's a talent of mine. He loves, the tax law and to actually find the best solution and to really advocate and fight for our clients. That's his passion. So in an average day, we really don't work together anymore. We have employees now that, each of us have that work under us. We still have, we have to come together as a leadership team. We have a third partner now, Dion Harmon. We work together as a leadership team where we have to, set the strategy for the firm. But on a day-to-day basis, I really don't, we don't really work together anymore. Yeah. So it kind of evolved past us, working. I mean, in the beginning, we were literally driving to work together. And that was a bit much. That was a bit much, I have to admit. In the car with your husband, driving to work every day.
Talking about work.
That was tough. But yeah, we've been doing it now for, 17 years, so it's grown so much.
No, I think something like that can cultivate a genuinely healthy environment for an entrepreneurial business, because I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs say, like, it's not like a 9 to 5, like, this is your life.
Yes.
This is what you're doing all the time. So when you're living with your partner and like that is what you're doing, yeah, I can get on board with that. Like,
yes.
You're both constantly thinking, works in the back of your mind all the time. And I think that's important to a successful business. How was adding a third partner, adding a name on the end of Davis and Davis? When did that happen, and how did that come about?
We officially changed our name January 1st, 2018.
Oh, wow. This was really recent.
Very recent.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been with us 7 years, almost 8 years now.
Oh, my gosh.
And, again, he adds another aspect of our business that, that was much needed, and you didn't realize you needed it until, it showed up. He's a great business mind as well, great for business development. And he's just added so much dimension to our business with, vision and growth in taking care of our clients. We've grown past the point where my husband could handle all the work himself, so we had to duplicate him as well. And so, yeah, now that they both are operating and taking care of our clients, they both have, staff reporting to them. It's really helping us to duplicate the business and grow the business.
Clearly there's no shortage of like work available. Your company is growing. You're adding a partner. You've been doing this a while. When do you find time to public speak? And to follow that, when did you get into public speaking?
I set a plan in 2015.
Okay. Kind of recent.
It was the year where I said, I need to get out and do some public speaking. Because Dallas is very interesting.
It is very interesting.
It's a great town for business. Clearly, we have, I think, the highest number of corporate headquarters are based in Dallas, besides, I think, New York, maybe number 1.
Yeah. I
think Dallas is number 2 or number 3. We're really close to the top. So the playground is plentiful so far as opportunities for business. I mean, we have a lot of opportunity for growth here. But to get outside of the bubble of Dallas, Texas, is hard.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the only way I can see we would be able to do that is to do public speaking. So I basically would do lunch and learns locally and I would send out, calls to different chapters of the AICPA, Association of Certified Public Accountants, and let them know that I was available to talk on sales tax, because CPAs don't specialize in sales tax. They actually tend to shy away from it. They focus more on federal, IRS issues. So they're always looking for resources for who they can refer their clients to. So I was like, hey, this might be a way for us to break outside of Dallas market area and increase our brand outside of Texas. And it really has been a great addition to our business development plan. And besides, I can talk to a stop sign, so it doesn't bother me to do public speaking at all. I quite enjoy it, so it's been fun for me as well.
If accountants, at least the certified public ones, normally shy away from sales tax, why'd you get into it? Of all avenues to kind of drive down.
Well, when we first started our business, I spoke on this a little bit. We were contract auditors for the state of Texas.
Right.
So they would send us out to audit La Madeline. Blockbuster Video, you remember that?
Dropping some big names,
right?
Yeah.
Blockbuster Video,
heavy hitters.
Pizza Hut, we also did the same thing for the city of New Orleans. So the city of New Orleans would have us to audit companies that were based in Dallas that had a responsibility in the city. So Sally Beauty, and if you think of all the brick and mortar stores that's based in any given city, they needed someone to audit those companies to see if they're getting all the sales tax that they were due. And it's millions of dollars for a local municipality. Like we can bring them millions. So it's a big deal for them. But we also had to audit mom and pops. We audit the corner stores. And we realized, wow, there's a big difference between the expertise at, say, a La Madeline or a Sally Beauty and, a gas station owner. Like, they just didn't have anyone professionally available to help them navigate sales tax issues. But for them, a bad audit could mean that their business was going to close down because the money was so, large for them. A bad assessment could shut the business down. So that's when we started to pivot our business and realize that, hey, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
It's just was no one taking care of those companies. So we really focused on middle market size companies and making sure that they had proper representation and someone that can advocate for them and make sure that they get a fair shake in front of the state.
Between being a wife, a mother, a serial entrepreneur, and a public speaker, when do you find time to do art? When does that happen?
It's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, I believe it.
It is.
Yeah.
I used to paint a lot.
Really?
Yeah, and the last couple of years it's gotten a lot tougher because we have been growing at an exponential rate. So, but I love it. I mean, it's just, for me, it's a meditation, Yeah. It's the time, my personal time, that I can lock up in my art studio and just put on some music and just, paint. It's just so much fun for me.
No, I really dig your stuff. Yeah, like your website. It's funny, before the show, for the little research I do for the show, I don't want you to think I'm too incredible or anything, but yeah, I kept coming across your website, Christoff-Davis.com, and I kept thinking, like, this has got to be the same person, but I don't know for sure.
That's me.
It's tough. Yeah, but well done. Very impressed. I'm curious, what kind of music do you listen to in your studio? What do you got?
I love Jasmine Sullivan.
Okay.
She's one of my favorites. I love Maxwell, a lot of smooth jazz and soul music.
Love some smooth jazz soul.
Yeah.
Why not?
That kind of relaxes me, mellows me out.
I can get into it. I've been listening to a lot of oldies blues lately. Real odd, I know. I don't know why, but...
See, what you guys need to do is do the Scandal Spotify playlist.
Is it really good?
Oh,
some great. You're right.
Yeah.
They have a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Just
Good
hit
tip.
play and walk away.
That was a good tip.
Just
Yeah.
let that play out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess wrapping things up, Chanel, I want to ask, in 2015 you wanted to get into public speaking. In 2018 you've added a partner. What's coming around the bend? What's coming up? What do you got going on in your life?
I think a fabulous podcast is coming up.
I hope so. Yeah.
Also, I'll be speaking this year at the AICPA's Florida Institute's their national conference in Orlando.
Okay, so you will make it down to Florida after all.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll be at Disney World speaking on sales tax topics. I also want to expand my sales tax speaking, or my speaking engagements, into entrepreneurship topics. I've done it for so many years. To talk about strategy and branding and supplier diversity, some of the areas that I've kind of honed in on and grown some expertise in, I think I can help other business owners who are aspiring to grow their business. I can help them in those areas.
Well, shoot. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us, Chanel. Before you go, I do want to say, how can people find out more about you? Where can people get a hold of you? What do you got going on in your life?
Well, our website, if you're interested in learning about sales tax, and I know that sounds like a very sexy topic.
Yeah. I'm going there right now.
Yeah.
Are you going there right now?
You can't stop me.
Our social media handle is Sales Tax Help, @SalesTaxHelp. And our website is ddhtax.com.
ddhtax.com. And if people want to buy your art, where do they go?
Chris, you see, you put me on. You put me out there.
Put you on
art,
blast.
Yeah,
look,
you put me
I dig some good art, man. You gotta support the arts. Yeah.
Thank you, and it really is an ode to my hometown.
Yeah.
It is. If you see the colors, you're gonna think about New Orleans.
Yeah.
My website is Christoff-Davis or Christoff-Davis.com.
All right. Well, shoot. Check out Christoff-Davis.com, and I don't know. She'll answer all your sales tax questions and art-related inquiries. Chanel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Thanks a lot.